Welcome everybody to this episode of The Sit Down. Today, I have a very, very special person. He's an entrepreneur, songwriter, singer, all-round good guy, and the voice of reason every time you drive to work in the morning. My very good friend, Mr. Martin Bester. How are you, sir?
Very kind of you, Bobby. Good to see you.
Welcome
Always
to our
good to
show.
see you. Thank
Welcome
you
to
very
our
much
show.
for having me.
The reason why we do these sit-downs is to perhaps give a little bit of insight. You have a massive following. Millions of people love you. They love what you do. They love the way that you deliver the message in the morning. And you know, people are inspired every time they listen to you and watch you on stage. Today's sit down, we're going to try and reveal a few things that perhaps some people didn't know about you, and take a few angles that no one has taken before in unpacking Mr. Martin Bester.
I love that.
Are you ready?
Yes.
My first question is, if you close your eyes, you're 17 years old, you're in high school, what are the priorities list like? What's important to you at 17? What are you thinking about? Are you a sporty guy? Are you the cool kid? What's going on in your mind at 17?
Phew, there was so much. At 17 I was a matric. So I had
At
to
17?
Get, at 17 already, yeah. So
Awesome.
I had to get ready for varsity. When I was at school, in high school, I loved sport. I loved rugby.
Rugby?
I also loved performing. So I did everything. I sang in the choir. I was an actor in the plays and the acting society. But I also played tennis, and I loved my rugby. I got to play first team a couple of times, and it was a very competitive school, so it was a very big thing. So much so that at one stage, in grade 11, standard 9, I had this notion that I want to become a rugby player.
Awesome.
A professional rugby player.
At 16, so I suppose you're 16
at 16, and then
age,
you wisen up very quickly. You realize it's not necessarily going to be for you. And at the time, my dad, here's something that you may not have known. My dad was a truck driver.
Okay.
Yeah, so he drove big trucks. He drove for a company called Pilkington Shatterproof. I think
Okay.
you guys probably know Shatterproof,
Yeah.
you know. And at the time, I got a bursary. I think he was the first truck driver's son at that stage to get a full bursary for university.
Wow.
To go and study there and raise and everything. My mom was a very hard-working sister in ICU in the hospital. There were a lot of things going on in my head. I knew I loved all the performing arts and music and stuff and sport. But I think a balance like that is a good thing.
So I want to unpack your work ethic, because you've got an impeccable work ethic. I know your schedule is back to back to back. People think that, you know, you go on the radio and then you go and chill out. I mean, you're running multiple things at the same time. Can I maybe dive into your dad driving a truck? I mean, that's long hours on the road. How often did you see your dad?
So about 3 times a week.
Three times a week.
So not a hell of a lot. On average, some weeks more, some weeks less. But it never stopped him from being incredibly disciplined, as well as, we had caravans, a boat, cars, stayed in a house, freestanding house, eventually. Between him and my mom, they never allowed anything or anyone to tell them they can't.
Absolutely.
When he would come home and he's tired, we would go camping. Take in life. They loved camping. They loved traveling, touring. They took everything. They made a plan. They never used any excuses. That's why it's so hard for me today to listen to excuses.
Yeah.
I don't take excuses for myself, and I encourage people not to get caught up and feel too sorry for yourself. You can do it. Just
positive diet.
Yeah.
Avoid people that are negative. I call it a victim card. If you pull out a victim card, I pull out a red card, and then you can go off stage, please.
Because here's the thing, to a certain extent, everybody could have a victim card.
Yeah, everybody's a victim.
Do you know what I'm
Everybody's
saying?
got
You
a
can
past.
if you find it. Okay, obviously for some people more than others, I get that completely. And even those people, when they turn it around and they never ever use any excuse in life and they just go and get something, I'm inspired by that.
I think a few wise words that someone told me is, things don't happen to you, but rather happen for you. because
I like that.
that leads you to the next stage of your life. Your mom, I mean, it must have been incredible hours.
12 hours.
12 hours
12-hour
a day,
shift.
every day,
Yeah.
non-stop. Night shift or day shift?
Both. So
Both
she
day
would work 7 days night shift, have a couple of days off, then 7 days day shift. And so gaan het aan, and raised 2 boys. And, my dad, as I said, worked away for a lot of the time. And you know what? She did it, eh?
Awesome, awesome. I think that work ethic was embedded in you
That's
from
exactly
a young
it.
age. Same here. Dad was
That
always
and
away.
gratitude.
Gratitude. It's the best medicine. I
Gets
think
you
your
through
mom
life.
told you that.
Both of them. You are grateful.
For everything.
If you didn't have gratitude, then that Stokey would help you.
No, that motivates gratitude.
Motivation.
Awesome. So, you've got all these things going on. You are acting, you're playing rugby, you are active in your social life, you're going camping, you're doing everything. How does that get you on radio? Is it a process? Is it like by accident? Do you just stumble into a studio? How does that work?
So at the time, for me, it was like music and acting or sport, do both of them. And then, so radio was never in the picture. But I enjoyed performing, and I enjoyed being on stage, and I enjoyed singing and all that kind of stuff.
Is it appealing listening to someone and be like, wow, that's flippin' cool. I wish I could do that.
The best ever. If you want to see me cry, put on someone who sings really well.
Okay.
I love that. I really
Okay.
do. So, but then when I went on to varsity, in my first year, they do what they call a first year tour, campus tour.
Okay.
Where they take all the first years around and they show them this is
all the greenies, all the newbies.
Yeah. Well, this is this faculty, and here's the sports grounds, and here's the canteen. And then they took us past the radio station, the campus radio station. And there was like this glass window, so you could see in. And I looked inside, and like all these cool people were inside. They had long hair, and they were smoking.
Inside the radio.
Yeah. It's like in the radio station. Yeah, in those days you could still smoke inside.
Not in Jacaranda today. No, I've been there before. No smoking.
No smoking. And I thought, wow, this looks cool. And they were all these like really cool people, and they were having these discussions. And I thought, radio. And then when I looked on the side of the door, they put a little piece of paper up, a page, saying they're looking for new voices, new talent.
Okay.
And they must have just put it up because my name went on first.
Okay.
I wrote my name and I was like, you know what? I've got that philosophy. You just go for it.
Yeah.
The worst that can happen is you fail and
You've tried.
You've tried.
It's not for you. You're going to your journey next.
I don't want to die wondering. I hate that feeling. Like what could have, should have. And then I got a call up and I went for an audition and then I got in. And it was such a fun time in my life, man. I made good friends.
Are you doing voiceovers at that stage? Have you got your own show?
They give you your own show.
Late night, early morning, like where are we in time?
One thing you must understand.
How are we ranking up towards the breakfast show? How do we get there?
Let me break it down for you. That campus station, at that stage, my first year, broadcast to the canteen. Now, if you were ever in the canteen, there's a speaker this size.
Only to the canteen.
Only to the canteen. There's a speaker this size that sits on the wall. The students make a hell of a noise. So you're basically broadcasting to yourself most of the time.
But you practice it.
That's it, yeah. And then eventually the station got a license.
Okay.
And then started broadcasting on FM across the station and the city and stuff. So yeah, and then the rest is history. And then I got an opportunity to do an audition at Algoa FM, which is the big station, Eastern Cape, Southern Cape station. And then they offered me this through the night show.
Okay.
And I was like, okay.
My dad will listen to me if he's coming on a long trip.
Yeah. No, exactly.
That time he's still driving truck.
Yeah, very much so. And then you start 1 o'clock in the morning.
1 a.m.
And you go on till 4.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's 1 to 4. Was it 1 to 5? I can't remember. 1 to 4, 1 to 5. Through the night. And I did that, yeah. I did that 5 days a week, and on the 6th day I did a late night show on a weekend, and that's how I got into it.
And then when did you join the Jacaranda team?
So then I got a call up from Peter de Nobrega, the station director at the time.
Yeah.
Who's also a well-known name in the
Yeah.
industry. Out of the blue one day, because I'm in PE, it was like, you don't often get opportunities like that. He calls me up and says, listen, I want to talk to you about coming to do the morning show at Jacaranda. Then. And I was like, well, man, this is like, I didn't really know much because I grew up at the coast.
Yeah.
And eventually I came up, flew up, met them at the airport, had a good chat, and yeah, ended up here. And that was 2002.
2002. Oh, it's a while.
I know, it's a while. The station changed a number of times in that time, so it doesn't feel like I worked at the same station all the time.
Okay, so new management, new structures, new processes.
Yeah, it grew,
Awesome.
it moved.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Similar topic question. If you were to, because you've paid your dues, the station changed, new management, new processes. If you were to take back one thing that you have today to the start of your career, I think most of these questions answer multiple people in multiple different industries. So not necessarily only for radio, but what could you take back with you? You're a young person just getting into the big scary world. What helps you if you can take it back then now?
I'm a lot more disciplined and focused now than I was then, so, especially doing the morning show.
With your time.
En moet nee sê vir skoolaand partytjies en sulke goeders, right?
So you can wake up fresh.
So yeah, so then, you know, my first morning shows, you know, you
still on your third cup only, third cup of coffee.
You live your life on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. But you know that's not going to work because I think the one thing that in my industry, and you also find this putting stuff like this out into the universe, you know, you're going to get a lot of people telling you that you can't do things. More people will tell you that you can't do something than there will be people tell you you can do something.
Okay.
And in the beginning, it might bother you. Now, it doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother you.
It really doesn't. It's never nice to see people being nasty, but at the same time, then you may have questioned yourself because of it. You're like, why are people saying this? Now you're like, you know, I'm going to listen to the voices who tell you you can do something.
Yeah.
And yeah, because when I say I don't care, I don't mean it in a flippant way. What I mean is, once you put a song out there or a show out there, someone then comes back and doesn't like it or criticize it or is nasty about it, not in a constructive way. Constructive criticism, very important.
There we go. I want to touch on that.
Very important. But if they're just nasty, you can't care.
You can't.
What are you going to do? You can't take off the song or
you can't
go and raise the show and do it over. It's live. It's out there. It's done.
So, I've got an opinion on two parts of your statement. The first one is, if you are well prepared, you've prepared well, you are ready for the event, no matter what event it is, and you give it your best, you can do 110% job. There's going to be a crowd that doesn't like it. That's okay. Given. It's fine. If it's constructive, that should be your North Star. So haters teach you stuff, and not people that troll. People that troll your content are just nasty, and we've got that. It's fine. We know how to deal with it. But constructive criticism, Martin, I feel like, for example, you know, your thank you message at the end was maybe too short and you forgot to mention these three people. Like, shucks, I should have mentioned them.
Sure.
Note taken.
Yeah.
Next time I'll give a thank 100%. You to the event. But you know, if it's not constructive, it's just thank you, ear out, bye-bye, next. What's next?
100%. And that comes with experience, is to discriminate between, to know where it comes from.
Yeah.
That's the important thing.
Yeah.
What is the person's intention?
Yes.
If it is because they are unhappy with their own lives and they're just trolling, take it for what it is and rather feel sorry for them. And maybe you can one day make them feel better about themselves and reach out. Maybe, I don't know. Or people that are there to boost, to give you a bit of constructive criticism that will help you be better. Yeah. You know, when you just start out, you don't quite know the difference.
The ego. I think the ego is still unpolished.
Anybody who doesn't like what you're doing, you're like, what? I'm doing it great. And now you realize you're always going to learn.
Yeah. So, and discipline. I love discipline. I mean, in my own life, I've got a wife, I've got a family life, I've got a company, we've got 220 employees already.
Sure.
You know, the bigger the company grew, the more disciplined I had to become. Mm-hmm. And that's definitely one of my things. If I could start over again, the going out dueling on a Monday and a Tuesday, that's never good for the Wednesday. You can't give your colleagues 100% of you. You are not 100%. So discipline is very important. how you start your day, gratitude. I love that you touch on gratitude, how you start your day. What's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do? Then it builds momentum. And what's the last thing that you do? Because that resets your day for whatever's coming tomorrow. So that's awesome advice. It is taking it with a pinch of salt if it's not, if it's constructive, taking it in, otherwise passing it, and discipline. Awesome.
Yeah.
Great advice. Thank you.
You strike me as a very disciplined person. I bet you are never late in the morning.
For work, I'm never late. I did have a late problem.
You sorted that out?
I sorted it out. I got a compliment from one of my colleagues. His name is Vince. He said, "Thank you very much for the last couple of weeks and months. You are never late. Thank you very much." Because I was always that 4 or 5 minutes. I'm sorry, I ran. But with discipline comes responsibility as well. Because if I plan a 30-minute meeting and it runs 40 minutes, the next 3 meetings I'm making excuses and I'm saying sorry. So yeah, discipline, awesome. Next topic. I want to just touch on it and bounce away just quickly. We can't hide from it. It is out there, COVID-19. I want to ask you what your biggest takeaway was from going into the pandemic, coming out. I'll share mine with you. And, what's the one positive thing that came out of COVID-19? So for us, we took on the subject of digital retailing. Everything is online. We try to do the shopping, comparing, buying, insurance, value-added products, everything online. And that has actually increased sales. It's given us more transparency to our customers. So, that was the positive. It's accelerated development on our website. What is the one thing that's a positive takeaway for you from COVID-19?
So on the technical side, the same. I mean, we had to adjust. Can you do a radio show when you can't be in the same room with people at the studio? So we had to figure that out very quickly. Kudos to our technical team. And kudos to my team, because now all of a sudden you can't see each other, you don't have the visual cues necessarily, there's sometimes lag with the lines, but the show still needs to come out the same way. And if you pride yourself in a person who can adapt and can adjust and change, that was a big challenge for everybody. Because now all of a sudden, I mean, you had to really, at online shows, I mean, as a musician, you're performing
2 years ago.
You go
what's that?
Crazy on stage, and then when you're done with your song, the cameraman coughs, and then there's crickets. And it's
There's no one else.
Where's
there.
your crowd? But you can't then. You got to
It's
get
unusual.
on. The show must go on.
Yeah.
That's what it just reminded us, because we all know the show must go on, but did we? In entertainment, that was a tough one. The other takeaway for me was that ambition is not the most important thing.
Not.
No. What could you have done with ambition in a lockdown level 5?
Nothing.
That didn't matter. Health mattered.
Okay.
Survival mattered.
Okay.
Getting along with the people in your house that you're locked down with mattered.
Okay.
Being at home and being comfortable being at home mattered. All those things I just mentioned. When you're like a highly driven, ambitious person in the big city, those things went out the window.
Yeah, you're right. Makes sense.
And
100%.
it was okay because you're ambitious and you're a go-getter and you live fast and you don't have time for all that other stuff, plants and animals, spending time at home, and your kids will understand, or whatever the case may be. COVID said, no. The whole world.
Standstill.
Of je nou in Parijs was, New York,
Doesn't matter.
Johannesburg, freaking Nylstroom, we all had to adjust in the same way. And that was it forced me a little bit to calm down and just calm down.
Look around and appreciate.
It's
appreciate
not
what's around
really
you.
that important that you have to be busy all the time.
Yeah.
Is it really that important that you have to this? Oh my gosh, I can't just be sitting around. You got to be faster, stronger, more. And then COVID said,
I've spoken to a couple of people that have a similar point of view where, when you're at work, you are the best version of yourself to provide your team with everything, all the tools they need to make a successful show, whether it's a drive show or a gig that you're playing in front of a lot of people. But when you're at home and when you're with family, you have to be the best version of yourself for those people that are around you.
I like that.
So I also like that. Nice angle. Thank you very much. I think if you go back 3 minutes in the video and rewatch it again, it will be time well spent. I promise you that. Lots of golden nuggets. Thank you. So let's get into a situation where if you were to go back and think of a landmine, I always call it landmines. When we've got a management meeting, like who's got landmines? Who stepped on a landmine this week? What happened? And let's process it. So a landmine in our environment is a mistake that you made that blew your leg off. You didn't die, but it was aina. If you could go back and perhaps share with the audience and with us, maybe we can avoid stepping on that landmine. What would it be?
Sure.
Successful people have stepped on many landmines. So I'm just
Many.
checking in your eyes, like which one am I going to reveal now?
I think it's to get over the fear of failure.
Fear of failure.
I think, I grew up in a time where, as we just spoke about ambition and success and stuff, it's you can sleep less, work more, be driven, chase the success. There were books about it and everything. How many books and stuff did we read, and how many people did we hear say that failure is also fine? The funny thing for me is you could also successfully deal with failure.
Yes, 100%.
And
100%.
that's a landmine. And we spoke about it earlier as well. When you do a show that may not have had the reaction that you were going for, or you say something on air that is completely misunderstood or taken out of context, people tend to turn things into crises that aren't crises.
Yeah.
A landmine is knowing the difference between a crisis and not a crisis.
Yeah.
When you're much younger and you're angry and you're driven and when things don't go your way, you have a disagreement with someone or you react in a certain way, it feels like a crisis. And then as you get more experience, you realize it's not a crisis. It's like writing matric.
Yeah.
If you fail matric, it's terrible.
It's not the end of your life.
It's not the end of your life.
Yeah. Please don't fail matric.
No, but also if you do,
it's not the end of life.
it literally isn't.
Yeah.
And I think that those are the landmines. And I've become, I think, a lot more at peace with myself. That I have now those landmines still come away, where other people make you think it's a crisis, and they want you to react with shock and horror or greatest, self-disgust or whatever the case may be. And then you realize,
it's not that
let me
bad.
set the pace. It's not a crisis.
So in life, you have fire starters. In companies, lots of fire starters. Then you've got firefighters. But sometimes firefighters disguise themselves as fire starters. So they'll create a crisis, they'll create a fire, kill the fire, and tell everybody about it. Look what I've done. Watch out for those people. We've had a few in our company, and with experience, we've learned to distinguish. You're a fire starter. You're not a firefighter, and distance yourself from those people.
Social media.
Social media is a fire starter.
Twitter.
Absolutely.
Are there enough? There's a landmine.
Yeah.
Is to understand once again.
Yes. The context.
There's no such thing as context anymore. There's no such thing as reason anymore.
Yeah.
Is there a reasonable middle? Sometimes feels to me you're either way on this side or you're way on that side. You're not allowed to be like within the reasonable middle. Otherwise you're seen as weak, of draad sitter, of dit, of that. They make it into a crisis. And you go, no, it's not a crisis for me. Give me a moment to find reason within the moment in the topic.
Analyze.
And even if you sometimes do or say something and you want to change your mind because you've learned more, it's okay.
Of course.
It's okay.
You make a decision based on the information that you have now.
Correct.
If you get more information in 15 minutes, you can say no to something that you said yes to.
And just, Bobby, that's a big landmine, is if I disagree with one thing that you said, it doesn't mean that I must dislike you.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't mean that I'm going to disapprove and disagree with everything you say.
100%.
Those are landmines that modern society, especially social media, sometimes a lot of people fall in that trap. I've fallen in that trap before.
Yeah.
Where trolls and unreasonable people and extremists and stuff like that, they would make you think that they are right and you are wrong, and you are not welcome.
So opposing opinions. We've got a culture in our company where Friday afternoons is our management meeting. We mop blood off the floor because of the opposing opinions and the fights that we have, because two opposing opinions argued respectfully come out to the truth.
Wonderful.
So it doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be best friends during the opposing opinion sit down. But it means at the end of it, we'll both agree that this is the truth based on the information that we have. And unless argued till the end, there's no truth, there's just opinion. Opposing opinions,
I love that.
argued respectfully, lead to the truth.
Well done.
So, and I don't literally mean mop just some tears maybe, some crying, no blood, just tears.
Tissues.
Tissues, yes. So I like it. And going
And then
back,
you have a beer.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
Okay. Like rugby.
Like rugby. And I love the fact that if you have a landmine or a crisis or a problem, allocate the correct amount of time to that problem.
Yes.
Don't bring
proportionately.
If it's I call it, is it a 30-minute problem? So I've used this on the show before. A car was recently stolen. It was parked in the incorrect place. Should have never stood there. The car was taken and it's gone. So in my mind, this is a 30-minute problem. It's not a 3-day problem, but it's also not a 5-minute problem. It's a 30-minute problem. I allocate 30 minutes. Have we contacted all the people? Do we have camera footage? Is the tracker on? Is the insurance notified? Do we have all the invoices, proof of purchase? Have we done everything? Yes. Okay, we're missing one thing. There we go. So in 30 minutes, I've given this attention, no more, no less. Send it off for an insurance payment, they paid us. I never brought it up for days afterwards because you're creating a bigger thing than it is. But I also don't allocate 5 minutes so that we don't give it enough attention and it happens constantly.
Makes you a great leader. It is a horrible thing that happened, but is it going to stop and ruin your business? Not necessarily.
No, it's not. How do we make sure that this doesn't happen again and give it just enough time, not more, not less?
And I wish kids would know that, especially with social media. Imagine how they must feel. They don't have the skills that you just explained now of a very dynamic, successful leader. For them, someone says, your hair is thumbs down. It's a crisis.
It's a crisis, yeah. And I think parents, I've not yet been blessed with children, but in my opinion, parents should have a proper sit down and discuss this with children. What is important?
What is a 5 minute problem?
What is a 5 minute?
Half an hour? And what is a lifelong crisis?
Yeah, lifelong crisis. What is a 30-minute problem? Thumbs down on a haircut is a 3-second problem, in my opinion. Like, okay, cool, no problem, and then move over. Next, what's next in your life? It takes a village to raise a child, a whole village. If you could touch on 3 people in that village that were most influential on your life and your success story, who would they be? And what did each and every individual teach you in terms of, this is the one thing I learned by this person? If you don't mind sharing with us.
I think I've touched on the fact that I took a lot from my dad, and my mom, humble people, hard-working people, possibly had lots of reason to feel sorry or, to have reasons or excuses, but never did.
No victim card.
No, I salute them for that. From where they've come from and where we ended up, fantastic. My dad now runs a pub in New Bethesda, or Boetie's Pub.
In PE, back in PE?
No, it's between Graafrenet and Middelburg.
Okay.
It's a village. No, it's a village like in the middle.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you ever go through there, you'll find my dad. He's 75 now. He's there. He's
still
there.
Working?
Yes. Same principles. He's always opens on time.
Beautiful.
He closes. No one else closes for him.
He closes.
If it's 2:00 in the morning, he closes. He makes sure all the windows are closed and everything is done and
awesome.
ticked up. He still got that.
Awesome.
And then he also does other things during the day. Same thing with my mom. Long hours, raised kids, made food. So gratitude from both of them. Ek het glad nie die woord afgunstig geken as 'n kind nie. Afgunstig. That means when you wish you had what someone else had.
Okay.
Good
job on your parents
Yeah.
for not having...
Never.
Awesome.
I sometimes wish they had. Because I was like to myself, I wish we had a car like that. Or, instead of staying in the caravan, could we rather stay in a chalet or whatever. I never heard them ever in their entire lives saying, "Ooh, so the Joneses have a new microwave, maybe we should also have a new..." Never.
We're looking for the Joneses. When we find them,
yes, where are these Joneses?
we're going to give them a beat down because they cause a lot of problems.
So, and a third person, it's a tough one. Maybe I'll go back to I've got a good friend that's still in PE, in Gqeberha, that I met at varsity. Einster, he appointed me at the campus radio station.
Awesome.
We became best friends. Charles, English, he grew up English, I grew up Afrikaans, although I did English first language at school. And I was always just inspired by him, always laughed, he made me laugh, he's so witty.
Okay.
So I think in terms of my radio career, he played a big role.
Okay.
Because I learned a lot of turn of phrase from him. I took from his wit and his interesting, and he always wanted to know more. He inspired me a lot.
Okay, awesome. 3 amazing people that help mold you to the person that you are now. What's the best advice anyone has given to you? Best advice?
Always be a fan.
Always be a fan.
Of someone or something.
Okay.
Because that teaches you a couple of things immediately. It teaches you humility.
Yes.
Because it immediately means that you don't think you should have the fans.
Yes.
And secondly, it also shows that you're always willing to place yourself second and to admire.
So the
admiration
constant need to learn, the constant need to improve because you're chasing that role model.
It's good to be a fan of someone. It's okay. It doesn't matter how successful or how popular you are in your business. If you can always be that guy or that girl who wants to watch someone else and applaud them, and I think it makes you a better person.
I want to ask you a follow-up question on that. Being a fan, I've got fans in different parts of my life. I am a fan rather of people in different areas of my life. The one area in my faith, I'm a huge fan of a guy called Quentin because he's on fire. He's so fired up for the Lord, and he'll raise my temperature up in that. When it comes to income and business, I'm a fan of someone else. He's so far ahead of me. He needs to look at me with binoculars to see me. That's how far ahead. But still, because I would rather say I'm a fan because he still has the time to turn around, look through the binoculars, say hi, do this, change this, fix a bit here, go this way, turn it around, go. And then in my marriage, I've got a fan, someone that's very successful in that area, not necessarily very good in his faith or in business or in income, but in marriage, I'm a fan because he's phenomenal there. So that makes very good sense. Love
also,
that advice.
If you're a fan of someone, then you will answer the question. A lot of people, let me backtrack. A lot of people will tell you what they don't like.
Yes.
It's easier for them to tell you who they don't like and what they don't like than what they do like
and who they like.
Who they like. If you're always a fan of someone, that question or answer will come very quickly. And I like that.
Yes.
I believe in both of you. I believe in both sides. I also disapprove, dislike. I'm not a fan of. Sometimes I think I hate some things. It's natural and normal. But you've got to balance it. You've got to also be able to be in a conversation and sometimes start the conversation with who you like and who you do like and what you do like, rather than what you hate and what you dislike. Oh God, I hate so-and-so. Well, you don't have to like them.
Going back to the gratitude
100% fine if you don't like.
100%. You can't like everybody.
No, and they don't want you. It's the worst thing in the world for me. I always say, love me or hate me, but don't be indifferent to me.
Okay.
That's more of an insult. It's not an insult if you hate me.
Yeah.
It really isn't.
It's fine.
it's also okay.
If
But
it's
yeah.
constructive, I'll take it,
Yeah.
I'll learn from it, and I'll improve. Maybe one day you become a fan.
In what I do, indifference is worse than hate.
Awesome. Awesome. First car. What was your first car? How old were you, and what was your first car? I'm very interested to know.
I had a motorbike. I had an MTX 50.
Wow,
Which when
a
I was
noise machine.
When I was 16, that my dad bought me a brand new one.
Wow.
I chose it, had a blue seat and then blue and everything. My first car that my parents, that I got from my parents when I drove in first year for a little bit, was a very old Merc.
Okay.
Actually, very lucky. And then after that, a blue Escort.
Ford Escort.
But the big one, the one that looks too big for its wheels.
Okay.
It had the big round body.
That's the... Okay, I understand.
And
which
it had
one.
a hole in the floor, and I could see the tar.
Just to know if you're going on the road or off
Yeah,
road.
but also then a lot of gas came in, so we always drove with the windows open.
Awesome.
Yeah, I love cars.
Brought a good memory back to you, though.
I love cars. My dad, yes, he loves cars. It's also the reason why I never have enough money, because I'm now spending money on an old combi.
Okay. A split window.
No, I wish.
Wow.
A bay window, 76 bay window.
Okay. Those are very, very cool and very valuable.
But buy them when they're done.
Yes. Yeah, that's
That's not more to have one that's already done up for me.
unfortunately not. That's a pyramid. All this money for this much joy.
Take it, money, and there's the drain and the toilet. No, when it's done one day and it's
You're gonna
fine.
enjoy it. You're gonna enjoy it. So if money was no object and you could buy any car, you don't need to worry about anyone driving with you. What's your dream car?
I love myself a G-Wagon.
A G-Wagon.
63, one of those. And I love big cars. I see that Ford is now bringing out the F-250 in an electric version.
Yes.
It looks like the classic 70s,
Yes.
60s model.
Yes. That Conway.
Ek is nogal stout vir daai ene. But then I also love ridiculously overpriced, like your, what is the Bentley SUV?
Bentayga. It's a Bentayga.
Sulke goed. When I was in LA the first time, I saw one of those, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like amazing.
Yeah. Stupid expensive.
Expensive, really too
impractical,
big.
but
And then, of course, old classic cars. I would love, I know it's a cliche, I would love to own a 67 Mustang.
yeah.
I'd love to
Beautiful
own
car.
a SL, 70s SL Merc.
Okay.
500.
Like in casino. That
Yes,
shape.
yes, sir. Yes, that's you take.
Nice.
One day my combi will be done. I've got a 76 old Landy that's now finally done.
And it still leaks oil.
It's now driving, yes.
Since 76, nothing else.
So I will have, if I were a billionaire, I would have a lot of garages. You would have a lot of business.
Yeah, you're a car
from
guy.
me.
I love it. Favorite book? Why I ask you this is, in our company, it's a culture. Every month we do a book of the month. Everybody
great.
does it. We write a report. We discuss it. Sometimes we have very technical books. And the moment that I see, the guys are sort of like, they're backpedaling. 2 months ago, we had an extremely technical book. And then last month, it was a bit of a lighter book. Nice read. It was Green Lights by Matthew McConaughey. And what we do is have a group discussion. What's the best takeaways? The top 3 ideas we can implement now. So that's what we love books. Wondering, what's your favorite book?
I love reading about people, so I love a lot of biographies and autobiographies.
What's your favorite one?
I loved Anthony Kiedis from Red Hot Chili Peppers' biography, autobiography. The one that surprised me also was Shane Warne. I'm not that big of a cricket fan, but I loved reading it.
Well written?
Just started the Obama.
Okay.
The new Obama book. So I love autobiographies and biographies, but then I also recently, and of course the name just escapes me, it was a book written by a lady who had a horrible ordeal on a beach in Port Elizabeth back in the day. Terrible. All night, horrible. Not going to get into graphic detail. And I was gripped by the book because it's such an intense story of a horror, dealing with it, surviving it, suing the police minister. You learn a lot about the SAP in the process and stuff. And of course, it's very South African.
So it sounds relevant. It's not
grim now. It's very wide from that right through to,
Okay,
but
so
I love, and I suppose it falls within the same
Absolutely, because one thing that I always take out from a book, 'cause everybody can learn the Obama story. You know, he's the successful.
You
in
think
my,
you know. Yeah,
in my opinion, the best public speaker who ever lived. Like, if you watch his speeches,
Obama, yeah.
I'll rewind and rewind and rewind. He's fun. He engages so well. But I wanna read a book and learn about the mistakes so that I don't step on that landmine. Like this big ego thing that Steve Jobs had got him fired from his own company. So check your ego so that doesn't happen to you. Check it nice and early. So I love the mistakes part rather than this. Everybody knows about this. We all know Obama became president.
Yeah.
What are the landmines that he stepped into in order to learn to become president that we don't need to and fast forward our career?
I find people interesting. It's like to read about them.
So do I.
on the screen, on TV, and on the big screen, fiction is lekker. But when it comes to reading, funny enough, I love reading about people.
What's next? So you've got lots of stuff on the horizon. I know COVID is a bit of an issue and it's a drag and some of the shows are being cancelled, but what are you excited about in the future? Where can the audience see you? Where can we find you?
So I released a very lekker single this year called Lilly through Coleske. It was a great year for me because I signed with Coleske.
Congratulations.
And thank you very much. And put out my first single through them and my music video that I'm the most proud of ever in my life. We shot in Cape Town and Stellenbosch for Lilly, thanks to Coleske. And my second single is going to come out, I'm hoping January.
In January?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's going to be a song that I think a lot of people can relate to, especially people who have a little bit of life experience and may have, lived life a little bit. And
see, you've also got a bit of GT stripes. Yeah, that comes with living life.
And the dark rings under the eye.
Tuesday
but yeah, I'm very
parties.
excited about the song. I hope people. It's a very personal song.
Do we have a date?
No,
Not yet.
You see, we've learned our lesson, haven't we?
Yeah.
With dates and things. I'm sorry.
Yeah. So it's coming out in Jan.
Yeah, it's coming up next year.
Coming out next year. Jan-ish. It's coming out
early part of
next year. Okay, first quarter. We can commit to first quarter.
I like
2022 first quarter.
Yeah.
You heard it first here on the sit down. Awesome. Amazing. Sir, my friend, thank you very much. It's been really awesome to host you. You've been great. I think you've shared a piece of your heart with the audience. You really have given me lots of advice and golden nuggets. I'll never forget this. Thank you for your time.
What a great conversation. How good of an interviewer are you, Bobby?
I'm just trying my best.
This is just amazing. How cool is this?
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the compliment.